Jess Pearman, welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
Traffic was bad, hey?
Traffic was awful.
And you hate being late.
I hate being late. It gives me a complex. I really don't like it. It says, "Hey, I don't respect your time."
Yeah, right. I can see you thinking that, but it's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
I haven't got a lot on today, so it's
okay,
good.
good.
Yeah. Are you a punctual person?
Generally, yes. Yeah.
You like to get there early? Do you map ahead?
I map ahead. I like to get there early. I like wherever I'm going. If I've got 5 or 10 minutes downtime beforehand, it's like I can walk in and I'm not going to be a head case when I get to my destination. That's why I walked in here absolute head case.
Yeah, you were
You're
flustered.
Like, get away from me. You're giving me bad vibes, man.
Yeah, like you're taking your boots off before you're in my house. And I'm like, just take your shoes off inside. It's fine. You're like, I need the bathroom. I'm like, yeah, go for it.
I'm like, ah!
Yeah, like a cat that just got into a fight outside.
Yes, yep, absolutely. That's me.
So I haven't spoken to you in a while. It's have a sip of tea. I've just been gigging. I did an hour show recently.
Yes, how did that go?
That went well.
Sweet.
What I discovered was there was only like 20 people in the crowd.
Okay.
Because I'm very popular. But I found that when there's low numbers, it's harder to do stand up.
For sure.
And the dirty stuff wasn't getting across. They were really like the dirty material. They were like, I just felt like, don't go there, please. This is awkward.
Okay.
So I started editing it out of my set.
As you were going.
As I was going.
And you still had an hour.
Oh, 50.
Okay, no, that's all right.
Hang on. 43.
Okay.
43.
So it makes me curious, though, if there was only 20 people and your material wasn't working, what were they doing there and why did they buy tickets? Do you think it was just those people who just go, oh, a comedian?
No, it wasn't that. It was just that I found that the dirty material only wasn't working, so I cut that out of my set. Everything else was fine.
Oh, okay. All right,
but I just
cool.
felt when you've got a small group of people, they weren't really going for the dirty stuff. But the flip side of that coin is in a huge room, like over 100 people or 80 people, there's this critical mass. And the dirtier the material, the more they laugh. I just find it interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I like to get different types of laughs out of people. And one of my favourites, when you say something shocking and revolting and they go, oh, I love making people laugh like that, but not too much, because otherwise you can actually emotionally exhaust the crowd when you're too dirty. Yeah. It's like they just go, oh, mate, I'm just getting smashed with visuals. Just stop it. Give me a break. So making them laugh like that every now and again, I think that there's a recipe. I feel like there's a recipe.
So have you been? Have you been gigging much since we last spoke?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we've just been on different rooms, I guess.
Yeah, what have you been doing per week? You doing a couple a week?
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
1 or 2, I'm doing... So I was bendy on Wednesday, and then I'm doing Littlefoot on Sunday night, which is Titanic themed, which I like because it's something else. I think it's important to challenge yourself. And then I realized recently, actually, I think my favorite type of comedy is the niche stuff or the weird or the themed stuff. I did a roast battle a couple of weeks ago.
I do not fucking understand roast battles.
Oh my God, I love them. I
fucking hate them. I wouldn't do it at gunpoint. I do not want to turn all my evil tools in my toolbox to aim it to another comic and destroy them. I'd rather rip into someone like a politician or someone who doesn't, who deserves it.
Yeah,
because I think I can be really brutal if I go for it, and I hate that.
This is why you have a conversation with them beforehand and you say, what's your no-go zones? What is there anything that you actually want me to shred you over and make it hilarious? I don't know about you, but most of my close friendships that I have with mates that I've been friends with for years, our relationship has a very solid level of sarcasm and character and
These are comics.
Pointing out... No, not comics.
Okay, just
pointing out each other's flaws and being able to roast someone over something that they said stupid 15 years ago that I still like to bring up, because it's both ways. And doing it with comedy, I suppose, in the wrong hands, it could be pretty bad. If you're someone who's naturally really passive-aggressive or aggressive in general and you have the desire to actually hurt people, then you're the wrong person to do roasts, I guess. But yeah, I don't want to hurt anyone. Like, I roasted Mimi, and we had a very long conversation of just giving each other information and going, this is all stuff that you can use. These are my no-go zones. Prior
to the
Yeah,
gig.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Mimi's another fantastic comedian on the circuit. So she would tell you, don't go here.
Yep.
And you would say, don't go here.
Yep.
All right, so there's a code of conduct.
There's a code of conduct,
Oh.
unless you don't give a shit about the other person.
It's
then
like
just rail
dueling
'em.
gentlemen in Victorian era.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah, don't scratch out my eyes.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Right. Okay. So, did she have an extensive no-go list?
No,
And
a very small one, and
was
I had a very
yours?
small one too. I think, but there was an unspoken respect there anyway. Both of us had the same intentions that we legitimately didn't want to cause any harm, but we also want to make each other laugh and the crowd laugh. So it was, I had an idea about one thing, and then I went, I was able to explain some of the jokes without telling her what they were, and going, is this going to be okay? And it was all fine. It was fine. I didn't write that many, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I love roasts. I love them.
And how does the actual roast work? You go up first and do 5 minutes on Mim, and then she comes and roasts you, or do you go joke for joke, back and forth like an M&M?
So you can choose. It depends who's running the room and how they wanted to structure it. This was very strange. This was one person gets to roast two other people, and then those two other people aren't necessarily roasting you, and then you can chuck out one joke about everyone else if you wanted to. So it was a very loose structure. This is not going on Comedy Central, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it was really good. I don't really like American style roasts because they're mostly about shock instead of about laughter. Where
Yeah.
I'm about laughter with just a sprinkle of shock,
Okay.
Again, I like my ratios. I want to I'm probably a bit controlling. I want to control how I make people laugh.
Right.
Yeah,
because
like,
I'm.
this is the laugh I want to give you. Yeah.
Got ya.
Yeah.
Okay. My whole problem is, unfortunately, when I develop material, it's a shock factor in the beginning. So I'm afraid I'd shock and cross the line.
Okay.
Like, I did a piece of new material on Tuesday night, and I came off as really pro-Israeli. And I'm
Okay.
like, I'm not really pro-Israeli. Like, I like the Palestinian cause. I support it. And they're like, well, it didn't really came off like you were like, fuck them.
What did you
"Oh,
say?
shit."
You're like, yeah, this joke's called "Fuck Palestine." Oh,
Something-
shit.
that's how it came out.
Like, what?
That's how it came. And yeah, unfortunately, I've got to go back and fix that joke.
Yeah, you do, and send out some apology letters.
Yeah, and so I'm just afraid of I don't know. I take. So you like it? Why, as opposed to like a normal straight stand-up set?
Okay, I like anything that encourage. You know what I think it is? It's a deadline. I need deadlines to function, and a comedy career in general is not a deadline, and that's why I've been so airy-fairy and floaty and not progressing as much as I want to. So I'm trying to attach a deadline to that, but with roasts or with this, the Titanic-themed comedy show that I'm doing this weekend, there's a deadline.
Well,
I'm not going to rock up with old material. You can't. I don't have any old Titanic jokes. Who
Fair
does?
enough. Well, what if I'll give you a deadline now. Do a show at the September Fringe.
That would work, yeah.
And you just go, all right, I'll do it.
I've started applying little things. It's like, right now this Tuesday is going to be all right, I'm going to start stalking the lounge now. So rock up every Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that's 1 foot in the right direction instead of me just.
What's that? Just
This
no.
is me being
butterflying around.
just I can't focus. I honestly believe I'm one of those undiagnosed ADD people who's just slipped through the cracks.
I think a lot of comics are.
Yeah.
Myself
when you're
included.
too functional, to actually be admitted anywhere, but you're not functional enough to have an outstanding human existence. Yeah, that's where I feel I am.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So are you at the? Because I know last time we spoke. Oh, by the way, are you drinking again, or you're
No,
not?
I'm not.
You're not.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I'm almost at 4 months.
Holy shit.
Not a drop. I did have a small incident, a siphoning incident with some hand sanitizer, but I'm not counting that.
You drank hand sanitizer?
I've got this big refillable, and I didn't have a funnel, so I was siphoning it with a straw and dropping it into the small hand pump. Yeah.
Right.
So other than
And you
that,
got some
I'm
in your
clean.
mouth.
I did. Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, a
Yeah.
family in Russia ran out of vodka at a Saturday night party
Yeah.
and used hand sanitizer with raspberry cordial, ended up dying
Yep.
and left their 5 children orphaned.
Oh my God. So can I just, I've got one question about that. Why are you grinning ear to ear?
Yeah, because it's fucking, I told you, it's dark. I love dark shit.
Yeah.
I enjoy shocking stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah. I'm extraordinarily jealous and filled with hatred towards comics that can do a very, very fucking clean set.
Yes, me too.
And not give across, like, show me something dark about yourself.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. See,
We're all damaged, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm doing that right now. I'm writing new material about the internet and old behaviors that we used to have on the internet 15 years ago or whatever. And so I'm bringing up a part where when I was 16, I did end up flashing my tits for a webcam. And then I go into a bit where some teenagers end up developing boundaries or slipping into porn, and how I'm glad I developed boundaries, so all this other shit. But the reason why I don't want to tell that joke is because I hate it when comics draw attention to their bodies. Because it's like, it's not a joke. So I have to get over that, because it is a joke, and sometimes you do have to draw attention to your body to crack that joke.
Yeah, it is a
joke. But I need to make sure that I don't hang on it, because I see people telling jokes where they're constantly talking about their bodies, and it's like, no one's listening to you. They're just looking at you, and they're trying to assess what you're saying and drawing attention to it, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So I've got these very strict rules for myself where I go, no, I don't want to be that kind of comic. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And it's like, I've set all these rules for myself that I'm trying to navigate. I'll write a joke and go, oh, I don't want to be seen as that sort of person, or blah, 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 blah. And it's exhausting. Absolutely. Anyway.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. There's a lot there I want to talk about, but that's a good thing, because you're constructing a set list which isn't geared in one topic, so you're not going to bore your fucking audience, and you're still gonna maintain versatility.
Yeah,
it's okay to talk about your body parts or do something like that, but as long as you don't dwell on it.
Yeah,
because it's like baking a cake. Too much of one thing, it's going to spoil.
Yeah.
You're not going to be exciting anymore. The audience is going to go, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like if you do just dirty stuff only, or...
Yeah. That's why I like the different sorts of laughs.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm attracted to a lot.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
my biggest attraction to stand-up comedy is my one true passion is I want the audience not to know what I'm going to say next.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fix. If they don't know where I'm going to go next, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Doesn't really matter if I'm not blowing the roof off the joint, as long as... Because you can't blow the roof off. You can't hit a strike every fucking time you go bowling.
No,
it's
you
impossible.
Can't. Yeah, yeah.
So...
That in itself would be boring. Do you reckon? Because you want to hear ebbs and flows in stories, and it's like that little bit of... The chuckles that could lead up to a massive cackle at the end. That's what makes the cackle so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that space. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and in terms of shock as well, that's why I like my skull fuck joke, is because there's an element, even I can just say the words and people go, ooh,
Yeah, so like a lot of people listen to me in the background, so that word skull fuck, you're like, what? There was a double take.
So I like that joke because it's not about... That's just a shocking context in which I use to describe people with low self-esteem, because it's not about the shock, it's about low self-esteem. But yeah.
Cool. So what about if you set yourself a goal of, I have to do half an hour at the September Fringe?
That'll be easy done.
Yeah. So you strike me as someone that has to write it down, or not write it down, but mentally fix yourself to a goal and then work towards it.
I think I have to throw myself under the deep end and sign the contracts or whatever it is and organize it. It's like I have to throw my future self under the bus, even though if that makes me feel uncomfortable now. And then usually I don't end up doing that.
Because that's what I think I need to do as well. Like the analogy I use is like I'm rock climbing and I've got a backpack with all the things I need to survive, and I've thrown that over the chasm to the next, and now I've got to jump across
Oh,
to
yeah,
fetch
cool.
it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what it's like, setting yourself a goal of, okay, well, I'm going to Adelaide next year. I'm doing a festival show in September, so that's going to happen. And yeah, you book it, and then once you book it, it's done, and then you got to catch your material has to come.
It has to, yeah.
Comes
'Cause
from pressure, doesn't it?
It does,
It
yeah.
forces you to go out every night and go, fuck, can I get 5 minutes here? Can I get 5 minutes there? Can I
Yep.
get 5 minutes here?
Mm.
Your whiteboard all of a sudden becomes interesting because you're doing mind maps of joining bits together. If you had nothing to, it's like a Formula One car without a finish line. What's the point?
All right, well, I'm going to make me accountable and say I'll do the fringe. No, I'm doing the fringe.
You're
this
doing
year.
the fringe
I'm doing the
in
fringe this
September.
year. Are you doing the fringe?
If
You bastard.
if you do it, I'll do it.
Yes.
Let's do the
All
fringe.
right, let's do the
All right,
fringe.
done. So it happens in September, right?
Yeah.
The Melbourne Fringe.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
done.
Done. All right.
Yeah. Oh, we're pinking Dr. Evil. All right. Done. Pinky.
It's contract.
We are doing the fringe. What
Yeah.
I need to do 45 minutes to push myself. You need
Okay.
to do, what do you need to do? 20, 45,
Half an hour.
30, half an hour.
Half an hour. I like complete. I like half an hour or an hour.
Do you have a themed show already in mind that you want to do? How do you?
I was, for the 2020 Comedy Festival, I was going to do a show called Dreamcatcher, and it was a show about spirituality. I'm basically talking about charlatans and
What's a charlatan?
a charlatan would be, think of a someone who is a fake doctor or a witch
Yeah,
doctor
that's
or
right. I
whatever.
thought so, yeah.
So whatever they do, they're fake. They're pretending.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might do something like that. It could definitely be made relatable as well, just because I don't know, there seems to be some sort of, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. When it comes to spirituality, it's a very confusing topic, and there's a lot of people, such as myself, who's on the fence about it as well. So just exploring that. If I wasn't going to do that, then
Wait, hang on, back up.
Okay.
What do you want to get across about spirituality and charlatans? The fact that there's a lot of them in there in spirituality, or
I'd probably
have you
want
been
to.
sucked in by a few of them? Or
Oh God, I've done so much weird shit. Yeah.
like what? What's the weirdest shit you've done that you want to talk about at your comfort?
It's not relatable enough. Ayahuasca isn't relatable enough. Mushrooms could possibly be relatable to some people. If I was to do a show about spirituality, it would be talking about, I guess, a lot of people subscribe to the same beliefs, but then they've just got it's just presented differently. So someone who could knock religion could have extremely religious style beliefs, but then they're not praying to a god, they're praying to a universe, that sort of thing. So pointing out that a lot of people are very similar in their ways, but have been taught that the other religion or the other spirituality is wrong, that type of thing.
Okay.
Also,
does that go? Are you extending that to Christianity and Islam? Because I have read a book where Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam were all lined up in like a ledger, and they were pointing out similar themes like love thy neighbor and peaceful coexistence.
Yep. Mm.
And it was like essentially they were saying that the framework is the same. It's the same shit. It's the same school of thinking. It's just different characters and different trajectories of plots.
Yeah, for sure. I would want to discuss that, but in a very detached way. The reason being is because I think if you're going to tackle anything such as a specific religion, you need to be very educated on it, or willing to be roasted or criticized on your material.
Absolutely.
Because there's conjecture there. So there's stuff where I go, there's a topic that I really want to talk about, but then I can't be bothered doing the research to actually make sure that I'm passionate about why I feel a certain way, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
Yeah. So there's so many elements. So I would discuss, but I would probably just say religion and then play with that as opposed to picking out particular religions, I mean, if you're going to do a show on the Bible, you've got to read the fucking thing. I'm not going to do that. It's not important enough. So yeah, I've got to also make sure that I do.
Watch a YouTube doco on it.
Yeah.
Just get the gist.
Yeah.
You know, we're comics. They're here to see you laugh.
Yeah. I didn't research this properly. It's
Yeah.
not about that. Stop ruining my set with your fucking facts. God damn it. I feel like that sometimes. Yeah. Or there's so many. I can't hook onto one topic. I'm not passionate enough about one topic. And that's where the issues with writing come along. So I could do that. That would be good because at least I know the type of material that I would need to write. If I was to write a show about modern spirituality, that would be...
What do you want to get out of it?
Like
my last show was called Visceral. I guess it was all about me expressing a feeling first and then finding the logic after the fact.
Okay.
Of the feeling. And yeah.
No one's ever asked me this question. I think it would be explaining in layman's terms why people feel the way that they do, talking about human behavior as well in terms of a lot of people's opinions are based on their own biases as well, you know, so...
Are you reading any psychology at the moment, or have you shown any interest in psychology at all?
I studied psychology in high school, and I do have psychology books, so yeah.
Because that sentence smelled of psychology. Fucking reeked of psychology.
Okay, and you sound a bit narky. You're not a psychology fan.
No, I am.
You are, good.
How can I not be? We're comics. I think every comic on a fundamental level is a psychologist of some sort.
They have to be.
We're all psychoanalyzing ourselves or what's happening to a piece of fruit on a table. Like, oh my God. I mean, Jamoan got a piece of material from a cheese block. You know, just studying cheese as he was slicing it. Like, just bizarre.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that. I forgot to turn my fucking phone off.
All good. Yeah. I think I do enjoy the process of it, but sometimes I'd like my mind to be quiet, to take the magnifying glass off anything for a second. You know, it's just like make my mind...
explore an angle?
No, I mean it would be so nice to just be an absolute dopey, ignorant dumbass for just 24 hours. Just 20, like make my mind frontal lobotomy quiet for just 24 hours.
I know people who I'm completely envious of that on the weekend go fishing, jet skiing, work as mechanics, finish work, go home, smash a six-pack, put their kids to bed and love it.
And completely fulfilled and not searching for anything else.
And that ignorance is fucking bliss.
Yeah.
Whereas I stupidly need to fucking take mushrooms, read books, understand why an atom is. Fuck. All this bullshit.
Oh, I read a quote the other day and I've got to tell you about it. A physicist, oh my God, hang on, give me a second.
Take your time, we've got ages.
A physicist, oh my God, I'm so angry. A physicist is an atom's way of talking about atoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Neil deGrasse Tyson said something like that in a roundabout way by going, how bizarre is it that a collection of atoms can click together to make themselves aware that they're a bunch of atoms?
Yeah. I thought...
It's fucking weird.
I haven't watched it in ages. I watched the do you say Cosmos or Cosmos?
I say Cosmos.
Okay, cool.
Because it's Greek, Cosmos.
Cosmos, good. Because I used to say Cosmos, and then everyone
No.
who...
They're cocktails, darling.
everyone whose opinion I respected said Cosmos.
No.
So I went, okay. I watched that a while ago, and I thought Carl Sagan was really, unintentionally funny. I just liked it the way that he spoke, where he said, if you want to talk about where an apple came from, first you have to talk about the invention of the universe.
Yeah, a bit creepy.
It was a little
Especially
bit
if he
creepy.
starts that sentence on a public bus next to you. You're like, dude, I'm going to move seats. That is just fucking weird.
Science is your thing, isn't it? You didn't do anything else, did you? Okay,
Yeah.
Cool, yeah. Oh, that's the...
He wrote Contact, the movie.
I haven't seen it.
But I think a part of him died when they cast Jodie Foster.
Oh, I have to... Oh,
You haven't seen Contact?
I don't get the reference, I'm sorry.
You haven't seen Contact? Contact is such a cool, awesome sci-fi adventure.
Okay.
It's a great little film.
Are we talking mid-90s?
Yeah, man.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like something... Carl Sagan wrote it. It was basically they find something in space that NASA brings it down to Earth. It's like plans to draw up this machine. They build it. It creates a wormhole, and they go through to meet aliens.
Okay, cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
That's really fun. You'd like it.
Oh, God. I think about stuff like that. I think about how pilots only really start talking about UFOs at the very end of their careers or after they've retired, because they know that if they bring it up while they're still flying, there's a good chance they'll lose their job.
Absolutely.
Same thing happens with psychiatrists and spirit possession.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But going back to what you said before about the pilots, I read a book called UFOs by Leslie Kean, and she just focused on pilots.
Yep.
And Air Force pilots predominantly. But one story that stuck out was Japan Airways in 1989. They flew up. They took off, and a UFO was following them. They flew from Alaska to Japan. When they landed, all three pilots that were in the cockpit said, "This is what we saw. We drew it." They stuck to their story. Two of them went back on their word. The pilot, the captain, the senior captain who stuck with his story and saying it was a UFO, he lost his job. They sacked him, and he couldn't get another flight. It's just so strange. Why they're quashing all these reports? I don't understand. I don't understand why. What is it? What does Japan Air fucking care? You know, or do they think that, oh, you're not going to book a flight with us because our captain sees UFOs? Really? I'd fly with a captain who's like, yeah, I've seen a UFO. I'll fucking take you there now. See if it's still there.
My issue is UFO technically means unidentified flying object, which means that there's UFOs all the time. It doesn't always mean that it's some sort of extraterrestrial nature. So if someone is to say, in my mind, if a pilot was to say, we've never seen a UFO, it's like, are your fucking eyes open when you fly? You know?
Yeah.
They would have seen it all the time. But I guess it's it would be the really strange, unexplainable ones. But I don't know. I'm happy to keep my mind open. I'm not really passionate about that topic, but I find it kind of sad. I don't like corruption in any form. So it's like, I don't, other than the parking ticket that I owe that I'm not going to pay because it was issued by a private company. Like, other than that, I don't like corruption.
Corruption is like part and parcel. It's like landing on go to jail in Monopoly. It's going to happen.
It is,
it's fucking everywhere, and it's going to happen. But what's this with a parking ticket? You got a parking ticket?
Yeah. And
hang on a sec. Didn't you buy a new car?
I did.
And some fucker scratched it?
Okay, so...
What'd you buy, first of all?
All right, so I had a 2006 Toyota Yaris, and I did 280,000 Ks in it.
Good
it was
little
screaming.
beast.
That's what I wanted. Drive it till it dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the gearbox was screaming. I had to almost wear earplugs when I was on the freeway.
Was it a manual?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You drive stick.
I drive stick.
Good
no
girl.
one does.
That's
Everyone was
awesome.
telling me to get a. I know that autos.
They're cheaper.
They are. Yeah, I know the autos are better now, but I got it because small cars that are autos, they've got bugger all guts. You want to have control of the gears so you can get up a bloody hill.
Get the fucking revs
But it
up.
was a 1.3 litre car anyway, so I was still that annoying person on the road. This one's got a little bit more guts. It's 1.5. It's a Yaris, but it's 2012.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The lady, she only had one owner. She did 45,000 Ks in it, and she even zip tied the hubcaps to the wheels because she didn't want anyone to steal them.
Holy fuck.
And when the salesperson was taking me over the car, I was like, okay, this previous owner had anxiety. I'm getting this car because this car's in perfect condition.
It was, yeah.
There's a tiny little scratch on the back. It could have been a trolley. It may not. I said that for the joke, and then everyone was like, "Oh, are you all right?" Like, "Oh my god, that's so bad." And I went, "Oh, this isn't the reaction that I wanted to instill." So I deleted the status.
Oh, you did?
I was trying to be funny. I was trying to be funny.
Well, we all felt for you because you're like, you just bought a brand new car
Yeah.
and some fucker scratched it. That's a pet hate.
Yeah, it's a little scratch. I don't know where it came from, but it didn't. I felt like the scratch didn't warrant the pourings of heartfelt I'm sorries that I got from everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm very I think I need a new car, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on a new car because buying a new car is like taking a pair of white brand new sneakers out into a muddy field. They're fucked. Their destiny is screwed.
Yeah.
So I'm like paranoid. So I'm like, I have limits. I'm like, I can't spend more than 15 grand. I can't justify more than 15 grand on a car.
Yeah, mine was 12, and
Yeah.
I drive it so carefully. It's just I don't see
You
myself.
do. It took you over an hour to get here.
Well,
Doing 40 back streets,
yeah.
stopping every time.
Yeah.
Going, are you okay? Do you want to get to the next street?
You're like, hang on a second, there isn't any traffic in Richmond. What are you fucking talking about? And I'm going 10 k's in the left lane. Yeah. It's interesting though. People spend more money on their car than they do on their mattress, but they spend more than a third of their lives in their mattress. And how much of your time is in your car? Maybe 2%, 3%?
I prescribe to your school of thought wholeheartedly. I spent over 2.5 grand on my mattress. And
Yep.
I bought myself a nice watch for a few K, but my car is worth like $800.
Yep.
And I can't justify.
Does it scream when you drive it? Is
Yeah,
it at that point?
it makes old man. Yeah, it's
Okay.
old. Like when I started, I'm like, oh, I better let you warm up a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Just these horrible gremlins under the bonnet.
Yeah.
But it's a Holden, it's a workhorse. It goes. But I just got to warm it up and not hammer it too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't afford to hammer it.
Well, I always let the car warm up, but there was so much wrong with my old one. It was like, I really know how to milk a situation long past its expiry date, and my car was definitely a version of that. And it was just like, you know what? It's getting to a point where it's not just slightly embarrassing. It's to the point where my safety is paramount now. Like, the gearbox was progressively getting louder. I didn't want it to lose drive when I was on the freeway, you know. It was just like, nah, this needs to replace. It's like a self-respect thing now.
What's it like with, let me ask you a question about, from a guy's point of view.
Okay.
I guess I'm a little bit embarrassed, but I don't give a fuck. But I'm a little bit self-conscious of if I go on a date with my old car.
Okay.
I'm just a bit like, oh, fuck, he's got a shit box.
Okay.
But I'm sure she doesn't think that, but it just crosses my mind. Is that like with you with the 2006? Are you like, if you go on a date, you think the guy's going to go, oh, fuck, he drives a shit box or blah, blah, blah?
I think...
Does that play into your mind, or is that just more of a guy thing?
It has played onto my mind, I guess, a little bit. If someone has a really, really old, beaten-up car, I think it depends on... I'm more about the cleanliness of the car.
Okay.
If I get into your car and I put my feet on the ground and I hear the clanging of empty bottles
and Macca's wrappers.
yeah, it's like that is a metaphor of your dick, right? It's like, nah, if this is how you keep your car, I don't want to know how you keep anything else.
That's fucking funny. Do you think that's indicative of a lot of women or just you? Like, do you think women look at that, like how clean you keep your car on the inside? Or
I see. I'm not after super clean. All I'm after
tidy
at any time is reasonable.
Order.
Reasonable.
Oh, reasonable. Okay.
If it's got, cause
orderly.
like I've had a messy car before, and then I've given some mates a lift home, and one of them's just gone. I said, I'll clean the car next time. He's like, don't ever do this again. Oh, like he was pretending to be funny about it, but was legitimately disgusted with how my car was. But I'd had my car for 10 years. I had camping chairs. I had a fucking tennis racket in there. I had 8 different pairs of shoes. I like to be prepared for any situation. Tennis, camping.
Speaking of camping, I'll gross you out.
Okay.
I went on a date with a girl years ago. I'm not going to name her, but she had a used sanitary pad in her car.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. Camping, blah, blah, blah. That's what made me think. I mean, oh, that's all right. But then, like a month later, while we were dating, it wasn't removed out of the fucking car. I'm like, it's still there. And I'm like, can I get the fucking tongs and get it out of there?
I just want to grab my bag, man.
But she was, but you know what? We were 2 different people cut from the cloth, 2 different cloths, as they say, whatever. She was, she was a fucking hippie, like Eartha, like too
No,
out
can't
there.
do it.
Like
Can't
wouldn't
do it.
shower, would skip showering.
Because I just felt it. Yeah.
Because she's like, no, you shouldn't really shower a lot because it's not good to strip your body of its oils.
You're like, well, oral's out of the question then.
Exactly. It was fucking messy.
The reason why I think that kind of stuff is a red flag, and I see this in people's personalities as well, right? Have you ever seen a hoarders show?
Yes.
Right? And what's really
Stay behind the
interesting,
microphone.
what's
That's right.
really interesting about these shows is a lot of these people are past professionals. Scientists, psychologists, lawyers,
Really?
really highly educated people who have somehow slipped off the deep end. And then you see these photos of rubbish up to here and squalid conditions, and they've been sleeping in the fetal position on a couch for over 5 years. Their kids haven't come over anymore. They always leave the house and don't let any guests over, and they can't get out of that situation, right? The reason why the pad is so gross is because that can be a door into a look into what that person is going to be like in the future. And also when linking that up to people's personalities, someone who's rude to a waiter for no reason.
Yes.
It's like, hang on, if you're rude to this person for no reason, what are you going to be like when you're no longer trying to impress me, or you're behaving badly in a situation that doesn't warrant bad behavior? So
are they things
how
you look for? Like, yeah,
definitely,
absolutely, yeah.
Definitely.
I see that as well, how they treat other people of a lesser pecking order, if I could use that such a strong word.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm trying to say.
How they treat peasants.
Yeah. Yeah, how they treat my Uber driver on the way home after cocktails. Are they polite to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. So why are such logical people, like psychologists, that just demands like the highest levels of order and logic to complete these big fucking degrees? How have they become hoarders?
Yeah,
in a world of chaos.
Yeah. That's
How?
one of the.
What?
I read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules of Life years ago. There was a couple of pieces of info that explained why people like that can become in that situation.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it was. I'm sorry.
Fantastic. Thanks for taking me on the runway and telling me this isn't a real plane. We're not taking off. Thanks for that. I thought I was going to find out.
Hey, it's life. You're going to get disappointed.
Do you want to
may as well be me.
Do you want to twist? Do you want to stretch your brain? Give it a bit of a muscle exercise. Why do you think they allow themselves to become hoarders? Is it I'm just thinking, why do they fucking do it? For example, when I was on radio, I spoke with an escort on air that had high-end clients who are politicians, lawyers, men of high power and stature that would want to be treated like shit and have no power at all. So it's a flip side. They want to lose all the power that they have during the day and be completely submissive to another human being, like with a collar and a leash, being pulled around.
I think that
treated
could
like
be
shit.
that could be based on control. Is that they want to be in a safe situation where they're out of control.
Out of control, yeah.
Yeah. But it needs to be.
Is that similar with the hoarders, like people who are like logical and structured all their life? Just want to let loose, or is it no? They got a catalog.
No, I don't think it is it's definitely not decisions that's based on rationale at all. I think it's more emotional and it's a more traumatic stuff rearing its head in some way, maybe.
Yeah.
Not dealing with stuff. It's all because it's a reflection of their mind. They're holding on to shit. They're not dealing with anything.
Holding on. Yeah, there's something there.
Why can't you throw away an electricity bill that's got a coffee stain on it from 1993? Why are you holding on to that? And there's that anxiety and that paranoia in there. There's the very slight, I might need that. And then there is the rest of it is just absolute delusion. Absolute delusion. I don't know. It's very scary. I'm glad that I've only ever seen those situations in... Actually, no. The people who lived in that 120-year-old shack that I used to live in.
In Mombo?
Yeah. The people who lived there before us had been there for 22 years and they were hoarders. We went through, as soon as we walked through the house when my parents were buying it, I was walking through going, you have got to be kidding me. You want to sell our beautiful, clean, functional, awesome house to come in here, and there was a pathway through the kitchen. It wasn't a usable kitchen anymore. There was just the stove and the sink. The rest of the bench space was covered in newspapers up to the ceiling.
Well,
and
yeah.
it was like...
It's creepy, isn't it? If you
is.
take a hoarder and fast forward 100 years, you've got a museum, like a fucking Antiques Roadshow episode that you could film in there, like every newspaper you've ever won for the last 40, 50 years, all in sequential order.
But the worst ones are the ones who are holding on to rubbish. There isn't a skerrick of value in there. And then the house needs to be almost bulldozed in some cases because the condensation in the house, like a window will smash and they won't fix it. So the inside becomes the outside.
My cousin...
The dampness in the walls, they're getting mold poisoning, their health getting affected. It's awful.
I know all about that through my cousin who works she works for a company she works for the government, and they allocate homes to homeless people, and a small percentage of them are hoarders, and she has to visit their homes. And she said, there's a path that leads to the kitchen, but the kitchen can't be used.
Are these the previous owners or the homeless people who move in?
Homeless people that have been given homes. And there's a small percentage of them that fuck things up and hoard and go nuts.
So there's a very big... Poor people tend to hold on to more stuff because they don't have anything to back it up. So if you've got adequate amount of finances and stuff, you've got everything you need. If your cup breaks, you can go out and replace it. You can always afford to buy a new cup. You can always afford to buy a new toaster, a new microwave, a new whatever. Whereas if you're poor, you can't always replace whatever it is that you break. So they tend to hold on to a lot of stuff. And that makes sense to me. Whereas someone who used to be a psychologist who ends up being a hoarder and they're keeping rubbish, that's what I don't understand, because there is never any logical reason to do that.
Yeah, it just, every time, hearing that, I freak out, but then I'm reminded in the fact that there are more neurons in the brain than there are stars in our galaxy, so God knows what the fuck is going on in there with 100 million neuron connections in our brain. God knows, it must be a complete mystery to some people.
I think, for sure.
Can't work it out.
Some of ours definitely wired incorrectly, or a couple of the neurons are maybe, I think, is it synapses? That's the connections between the neurons?
Yeah, the synapses.
Yeah, so maybe there could be the synapses are joining the wrong neurons together.
God knows, maybe. Who knows?
It's definitely fascinating. Yeah, it's nice to just sit down and go, I don't know anything. And that's okay. I do that frequently when I'm trying to figure something out. I'll be sitting there going, and then I go, it doesn't matter if I don't know. Sweet.
Yeah. Who was that? I think it was the oracle at Delphi in ancient Greece said that Socrates is the smartest man in all of Athens because he declared that he knows nothing.
I read about...
what a cool motherfucker. He
goes,
I don't know shit. And they went, you're the smartest.
Someone said that he's the smartest person, and he engaged in an argument and a debate with that person. And that's another thing that I find really fascinating as well. If anyone says, fig jam, fuck, I'm good, just ask me, another red flag. Because you need to know that you don't know a lot. If someone believes that they've got, that they know a lot, unless they're an expert in one particular area and that's what they're talking about, it's like, no, mate, this isn't going to work. You're annoying me.
I have a theory that 95% of stand-up comedians are humble people, because just when you think you've nailed it and you've had 4 or 5 really good sets in a row and you think you've worked it out, you have a shit gig.
Yeah.
And it knocks you back down the pecking order and you're humble again because you're like, man, I fucking ate a dick tonight. How shit am I?
Is that, oh, okay. So
that brings me down anyway. That grounds me, so to speak. And then I'm back to the drawing board going, fuck, I should get new material. I should try and write something.
Has this ever happened to you, though, is that you didn't bomb until you had the thought where you went, hang on a second, I've just done 5 awesome shows with this material, and as soon as you open the thought up to the possibility of you bombing,
maybe,
over.
Yeah, because I become rigid. I lose my looseness on stage, about getting to the joke organically.
Okay,
with
yeah.
taking the pulse of the room.
Yeah, okay.
I become rigid and I try and nail it. So I'm like a cricketer trying to do the same shot as before. The ball's different. It's coming at you differently. You've got to be more loose. It's a different crowd. You got to be more. And I tense up, and I can't recreate it. I try to recreate it and I flop. Yeah.
It's interesting how half of comedy sometimes is acting. It's making sure that you look like, when you're really angry and you've got that fuel and that passion there and you just nail the gig and you walk off and you're just like, yep, that's exactly what I wanted. And then you're a bit tired the next day, or your thoughts are somewhere else, and it's like, fuck, I need to actually show this audience that I give a shit about this today, even though I don't. I lose projection. So I still, and then the inflections are really odd.
What do you mean? Say that again. What do you mean?
If you've got comedy that you, it's just having an off day, really.
Okay, so make it about yourself. So you're having an off day at work, and then that night you get up on stage and you're not mentally present?
Yeah. That's right.
But you're just going through the motion of the material.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. When I did the rail yard the other day, because the
crowd will find you out.
But I've had a cold, and because I've had a cold, I don't have the vocal projection, and because I didn't have the vocal projection, it's like all of my shit wasn't convincing. So sometimes you have to fake it. Sometimes you've got to actually put in heaps of effort to get the emphasis out on everything, because you're tired or you're sick or you can't be bothered or whatever it is. So I'm just saying that sometimes it's actually acting. I hate that.
What if you acknowledge the crowd? What if you just went up on the mic and go, my throat's fucked, I'm not as loud, but I'm just as angry, but I'm softer, but I'm fucking fierce. I'm like a kitten, but I'm angry.
Okay.
And then you begin, you got to tell the crowd.
Why didn't you tell me that before I had the issue, mate?
You got to tell the crowd exactly how you're feeling.
Yeah.
I
do have a line that I fall on, but your line was better. My line is, sorry everyone, I'm really out of it. I steamed some vegetables 2 days ago and I'm still tired. So I imply that's the reason why I'm tired.
Yeah, that's
but
good.
Yeah, the fierce kitten might be a bit better. I've got to change it up. But have you written heaps of that stuff? You're like, this is what I'm going to say if I'm tired. This is what I'm going to say if I'm angry. This is what I'm going to say if I don't give a shit.
No, what do I do? I try and actually. This sounds really fucking This sounds really fucking arty-farty, but I try and I try and take the pulse of the audience before the show. I watch the other comics and I try and get like the rhythm of like two girls in primary school with the skipping rope that are spinning it, and I have to jump in and time it. I try and watch that to see the rhythm and see what the crowd are connecting with, and then if I try and be honest with them and then start my routine. If I'm feeling off or if I've got a cold, I'll acknowledge it. I won't try and hide it.
Yeah, okay. See, well, I learned something. I won't try and hide it in the future.
Yeah, because you'll become a different. You'll be an actor.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's not coming from your heart. It's coming from.
I think there's the element of professionalism, though, is that if you do happen to have a paid gig on if you're having an off day for whatever reason, then you need to be able to push it anyway.
Absolutely.
You need to be there was a time when I was really, really tired and I was forcing myself to go to gigs anyway, because it's like people get tired. I can't lean on that. That can't be an issue, And
yeah, that's a great attitude.
Yeah,
I think that's
having
a successful ethos.
Yeah. And making sure that I'm just doing that when I'm tired, not brutally exhausted and heading into a bad way. But yeah, just going, bad luck, brain cells. You need to learn how to work when you're lagging. Bad luck, do it.
So
you got to do the job.
You know how you were saying before, you used this analogy of just fluttering around? I sort of, do you lock in, okay, next week, I have to do 3 gigs, or next week I must do 2 gigs.
No, I don't do that, and I need to start doing that more and more. So I've already made.
If I don't do 3 gigs a week, I panic. Sorry, I jumped on you there.
Oh, that's okay. So 3 weeks, 3 gigs. Yeah. I try to get to 2.
Yeah,
ultimately,
2 to 3.
I'd like. Yeah. I think 3 would be better.
Ideally, 3 would be good, because every other day you're pretty much getting back on stage.
Yeah, yeah.
So your brain is starting to wire itself.
Yeah. You definitely feel it when it's been a while.
Yeah, you know, in a perfect... I was having this chat with a comic last night. We were driving back from a gig. Evan Hocking was talking about, like, I don't know how, something on the radio, Powerball, some winner and whatever. And I was like, fuck, if I won Powerball, I would just, like, give money to an agent and go, I want to do an hour every night somewhere. Just make it happen. And I don't care if I'm not getting paid, but I just want to do an hour every night. And I would, like, imagine... That would be like a bodybuilder ingesting steroids and then lifting and blowing himself up in front of, like, just imagine how your brain will begin to wire itself if you start doing an hour of stand-up every night. And I think that's the reason why American comics are just so slick. They're so fast. They churn over material day in, day out. They can write an hour special every single year. It's because their brain is being accustomed to getting up on stage and talking a certain way in front of strangers for an hour a night, that the brain begins to wire itself to be conducive towards dishing out a certain speech pattern that ends with a surprised punchline.
They also, when they start at the bottom, they start in a different way that we do. If you want a 5-minute spot, you have to flyer for them for 2 hours. So it automatically weeds out all of the shit kickers.
That's a good point.
It would weed me out. I go, really?
Fuck
Flyering
that.
for 2 hours? I'm out. Like, that would be enough for me to go, I'm out. I never would have done comedy. This is why like doing an hour every night, that's absolutely torture to me.
It is.
It is absolutely torture.
Really?
I'm so flat out exhausted after doing, say I do.
Nah, Pearman, you've won Powerball. What else are you going to do? Sleep all fucking day. You want to do this or not? It's like your brain will begin to rewire itself. It'll be like, just think about it, like every night for an hour.
Can I do it 4 nights a week? I need my downtime. I get exhausted. I think I'm an extroverted introvert. I don't think I'm missing the point. I think our brains work a little bit differently here, and that drives you and would drive you forward, where I think about doing an hour a night and I go, I'm going to have a fucking meltdown.
But what's going to happen after the meltdown? Live on stage. You will be in uncharted territory. God knows what you will create.
God.
You got to suffer for your art, some fucker said.
All right, push the boundaries.
I don't know who said that, but, you know, got to push through.
Yeah.
But because I just feel, sometimes I feel, you know, like, I'm sure a lot of comics will understand what I'm saying. It's just a stuttered existence on the Melbourne comedy circuit. You're a good comic and you push out there and you can only do 5 minutes, and then the next night you can only do 7 minutes, and then you got to take 2 days off, and then you can do 5 minutes. It's such a stuttered growth, you know?
It is definitely.
You know, so that's why when festivals come along, you know, I hear comics going, who the fuck is this guy thinking he can do an hour, man? He hasn't got 5 minutes of material. I'm like, dude, fucking let him grow. Let that comic grow. Like, whoever goes to that gig, they may not enjoy it, but they're going to do an hour and they're going to learn a lot from it. I don't judge anyone who hasn't got the material that decides to do an hour, because fuck it, they're gonna learn the hard way.
I feel like I don't know, that there should be at least a bare minimum of preparedness.
Well, of course, I'm sure they do prepare.
If you're doing an hour, if you've got 40 and you've got enough people in the crowd that you can do crowd work.
Yeah.
Slow down, ponder on topics, add bits, for sure. But yeah, I guess I get extremely, extremely uncomfortable if I'm watching a comedian that I don't like, even if they're doing 5 minutes. Do you remember how bad Days of Our Lives was, the television show, or Young and the Restless, or Passions? Think about the worst television show that you've ever seen.
My mum would watch them when I was growing up, and I would leave the fucking house. That's the only time my mum understood English. Outside of that, she was a Greek lady who didn't understand. So can you help me ring the electric company for me? I'm like, fucking hell, mum. You understand the plot twists of... Yeah, so yeah, I know those shows.
Yeah. So you said that those shows would come on and you left the house.
Yes.
Right, so that's how I feel when I'm watching a comedian who is either delusional and doesn't doesn't see that they're silencing the crowd, or who is extremely grotesquely unprepared. That's a good word. Fuck, I love this language. It's the only one I know. I better know some fancy words. What's going on here? It's an insect. Yeah, it makes me want to leave. And it makes me uncomfortable and it makes me angry.
But that's good, because by you leaving, if that comic...
I'm taking myself out of the situation instead of having an altercation, yeah.
By you not bashing the comic is a great thing. That's very positive. But by you fucking off and you're an audience member. If you fuck off and that comic, this is crucial. If the comic is tuned into reality...
Yeah.
That comic can come off stage and go, oh fuck, my audience just left. Maybe I should reassess my material for tomorrow night's show.
That's also that's a really positive way of looking at it, and that also brings me to the next thing is that I actually really struggle to fake laugh as well. So you know how it's really nice at the start when you're starting your comedy career, right? And you trying to work out, friendship circles and who knows who and where can I fit in and who can I speak to and whatever. And then you've got people who are just, they're encouraging you. But after a while, it's like, okay, you've learned enough now. You're on your own now. I'm only going to laugh if you say something that's legitimately funny. I think it's important to stick to that. So
from day one.
So from maybe 2 months, not day one, maybe day 60. It's like, no, you've had your fucking probation. We're not going to fake laugh anymore.
Yeah.
But I actually can't do it. I can't fake laugh. And it's like, I can't.
Why should you though?
Because of social bloody norms. It's actually rude to tell someone
but you're sending the comic on the wrong path.
That's what I mean. But people don't even tell their own mates though if they've done a really shit job. And that is a massive disrespect, because you look like an asshole if you do,
if I get asked as a comic,
yeah,
what's wrong with my bit? Why can't I tell them? I go, I think it's.
They ask you,
but I also say, I'm no fucking genius, or what the fuck do I know? But this is my 2 cents. Because you're asking.
Yeah. This is why it's so important to have, I think, really, reasonable and respectful friendships with people that. Obviously, there's a jokey friendship there, but also the element of the seriousness where you can go, where did I fuck up? That sort of thing. Where there just tends to be people who I don't think they address that at all. They just go, well done, you're hilarious, that was great. And
that's madness. That's lunacy. They're going to stay in the open mic scene forever.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to know where you're failing.
Yeah.
And if people are fake laughing, it's going to get you to a certain point where you think, oh, I'm ready to do auditions at the Lounge, or I'm ready to do auditions at Kings of Comedy, and you're going to flop, and you're like, why am I flopping? This kills in the other rooms. Oh, they're safe spaces.
Yeah.
That's why I don't agree with safe space comedy rooms. I just think
I don't
comedy...
think they're safe spaces.
Well, yeah, I think they should be just brutal. They should be you either funny or not. I think they should be safe for comics. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, like, on stage, if it's not funny, they just... Sorry, I'm not gonna laugh.
Safe spaces. I don't know. People's definitions of what you can and can't say of being acceptable or not is completely different. So I feel like safe spaces end up fizzling out because there's always someone who's going to disagree with something that you thought that was okay for you to say. Maybe I don't know.
Well, it's a very tricky area. I'm
not really into the politics. All I want to do is be funny. That's it.
Yeah. When I'm crafting new material, I like to say, I'm not married to this idea. I'm not married to this piece of material.
I don't see no ring on this finger.
I'm trialing it out. And if it bombs or if I come across as racist or chauvinistic, holy fuck, I apologize. But I'm just trying to find the funny somewhere. You need to be able to make mistakes. You really need to be able to make mistakes on stage creatively and not be called a racist. Like, there's a female comic on the circuit who did a bit, and I don't think she's racist. I genuinely don't think she's racist. But she fucked up on stage when she said it. Even I was like, I wouldn't have said that. That's fucked up. But she's a new comic, and she's just didn't understand. And I was like, yeah. And she was aware of it after the gig. She's like, yeah, that was wrong, wasn't it? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, there's that thing, though, of when you're exploring ideas, obviously it's a very touchy topic, but there's one thing that I've noticed is that if anyone does say anything remotely racist or bigoted on any level, they immediately will say, no, it's not racist, or no, it's not bigoted, and here's why. Instead of, I think some of those people know that it's racism or bigotry, but they're scared of the lynch mob if they say, no, that was racist, and this is why I said it, or that was bigoted, and this is why I said it, and these are my beliefs. No one does that anymore because they're afraid of, getting cancelled. I'm not afraid of getting cancelled. You have to be someone to be cancelled. It also helps to be really racist or bigoted to get cancelled. I'm just like, oh. And looking at my set going, there's nothing that's going to cancel me here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Yeah, with the advent of technology and 5G, I just think every comic is going to have the ability, like now, to just broadcast and get their self out there. So who's going to cancel you? Unless you're fucking really obscene, where YouTube has to step in and go, that's fucked up. You're like,
that's hate speech. Yeah,
that's hate speech. And you don't belong on stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tricky one.
It is, but oh well. Keep going. Keep trying. Say sorry if you do the wrong thing. Keep your eyes on the crowd, and if they go quiet, ask you what's wrong with my set.
Yeah, if they're quiet, like, you don't want to become that comic that comes off stage to silence and goes, that was good, wasn't it? Okay, if you think so.
It was years ago. This was 10 or 11 years ago. I went to a Rodney Roode gig at Ferntree Gully, Ferntree Gully Hotel. There was over 1,000 people there, drunk bogan Aussies. And I was meeting my older sister's partner for the first time. And Rodney was singing limericks, and he's playing the guitar. And there's 2 limericks from this joke book that I bought years ago. And I said to my sister, I've got limericks that are better than these flogs getting up. Should I go up? And she just went, no, because she was mortified of me embarrassing her. And I went up there, and I'm standing there, and there's dudes going, oh, they're just going, okay, what's going on here, And then Rodney Roode looks at me, and I just shit myself because I go, what is this monster going to say to me? And he goes, look at this lovely lady. And I went, and he's playing. And I'll tell you the lyrics because I still remember them. The first one was, there once was a woman from Leith who would circumcise men with her teeth. It wasn't for fame or love of the game, but to get to the cheese underneath. And everyone went, yeah! Because everyone who was getting up was so hammered that you couldn't hear what they were saying. And everyone was just laughing. They're like, whatever. I sat down again, and I got back up 5 minutes later. And everyone was like, yeah, bring her on. Yeah. It was insane. So the next one was, there once was a vampire called Mabel, whose periods were very quite stable, your ex-girlfriend. And every full moon, she took out a spoon and drank herself under the table. And everyone, that's where I got the, and I was like, okay, I want to do this again, but different. This was sick. I looked at my sister, and I was like, yeah, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, that's great.
It was addiction. It was just like, oh, so funny.
Well, how old were you then?
23.
Wow.
That was fun.
And how long was it since then when you just got up on stage for the first time? It was years.
Yeah. 5 years, 6 years.
Fuck, what kept you away for so long? I know you were singing.
Singing and no balls. No balls. I was just absolutely petrifying. And that's why the first time I got into it, it was an acting group that I went into, and all the actors were slowly dropping like flies because the woman who was running the sketch group was a bit She was a bit of a crazy lady. And
Really?
then she had a raw spot that we were going to do a sketch for. And then the sketch fell apart. She says, we'll just take the raw spot. So I quickly wrote 5 minutes of material and then started from there. So
Where was your first spot?
That was
Curiously?
2016.
Where?
Raw. Evelyn.
Triple J Raw? So you went
Yeah.
straight into Raw for your first gig?
Yeah.
You didn't try and polish your 5? See,
No, I regret that. I regret that a lot.
I took my 5 everywhere and did Raw in 2002.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, what a different... That was another time.
That was definitely another time.
Yeah.
Were they doing the this year a girl's gonna win, this year a boy's gonna win, this year a girl's?
Yes, they
Am
were.
I wrong for pointing that out?
It was...
It seems we're showing you how fair we are.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lovely gentleman on the judging panel called Jed Wood, and I crushed my gig at the Comics Lounge, and he said to me, he goes, look, man, you're a competent comic, you're going to be just fine, but you're not going to get through. We're just looking for something else. And I'm like, okay. That's when I realized it's not about crushing.
Yeah.
You do not get awarded the trophy for raw comedy for crushing. Triple J, and I think it's fine. They're not after the funniest. They're after supporting a diverse group of people that need a leg up to just, get in there. So it is what it is.
That's another thing that you've just articulated in a really positive way that I didn't think was that good. And that's a really nice way of looking at it.
I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but
it makes sense.
It's their competition, for fuck's sake. They created it. They know they've got a right to look for who they want.
Yeah.
They want to, and at the moment, I'm sure it's like female, indigenous, or trans, that's who they want, and that's great. Fucking go for it. But if you enter a comedy competition and it's and I've done comedy competitions like this overseas where it's the highest decibel laughter wins, they're the ones that I'm suited for. That's like they're the ones that I want to enter, because that's like the fastest car on the track will win, not the prettiest or the most different or the most nice interior, blah blah blah. They're the comps I want to go for. And that's when I quickly realized, all right, well, Triple J Raw's not for me. But, it doesn't, I don't need, you don't need to hang shit on it. I know what they're doing. It's their thing.
Yeah. I just didn't think of it like that. I still did it 3 times, but it was fun. It was a thrill. Where else am I going to get 100 people who are going to look at me and listen?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
We got to wrap up soon.
Cool.
I don't know how long we've been talking, but...
Okay. Well, you threw your phone across the room like a psycho, so...
Yeah, because I hate it.
3:54. I think it's been about an hour.
All right.
I'd say it's been an hour.
All right. Well, it's been a lot of fun. It flew.
It did.
Thanks for coming back in.
Thanks for having me.
So we're doing a fringe show.
Yes.
In September.
Yeah.
Your theme is going to be loosely based on spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Exploring what in spirituality?
Okay, so that's okay. I haven't decided that yet. You can't make me decide that yet.
No worries. Next time you come back, we'll go through it.
All right, sweet.
All right, Pearman. Do you want to plug a gig or anything where we can see you, or it doesn't really matter? She's always on the circuit. Check her out.
Yeah.
Or have you got something?
No, well, it's tomorrow, so it's a bit late. It's not going to get uploaded.
All right. So if you're hearing this now, and you've got access to a DeLorean, May 23, you can catch Pearman at
Littlefoot in Footscray.
All right. Get your flux capacitor going and get to May 23.
Sweet.
Thanks, Pearman.
Thank you.
See ya.